Hey, yo, you minties! Uncanny Omar here from Near Mint Condition, the home of collected editions. And today, I get to take an advance look at the Wakanda World of Black Panther Omnibus from Marvel Comics. So, let's get started. Welcome back, everybody. So, before getting started, I want to give a huge thank you to David Gabriel and the fine folks at Marvel for sending us an advance copy of this omnibus. This omnibus is due out in the direct market and book market on October 4th. And speaking of direct market and book market, Marvel was kind enough to send us a copy of each. Now, normally I keep these sealed because we end up giving them away on the channel, but I had to open this up to double check something. Because there could be a misprint in one of the stories in here, and I'll go into it when I get in here. And sure enough, yes, it is printed the exact same way here. But here are the covers. You have Phil Jimenez, the direct market cover, and Sanford Green, this is the standard edition cover. This is the one that's going to be available everywhere. This one only through the direct market, places like cheapgraphicnovels.com, Walt's Comic Shop, Dying Breed Collectors, In Stock Trades, DCBS, your local comic book shop, Organic Price Books, places like that, and this one available everywhere. Now, the spines are also different, too. The images on the spine down here. Of course, the logo, Wakanda World of Black Panther, is the same. The Marvel Omnibus logo is the same, but the images down there are different. The back of the book, identical. So retailing for $125. There's the ISBN and what it collects down here, and a little bit about what is in here. Underneath the dust jacket, they are identical. They have this amazing design surrounding the book, which I did a comparison to the Ta-Nehisi Coates Omnibus designs under the dust jacket when I did that particular overview. And they have the designs very similar to what's underneath here. But I love the way, just again, in case you didn't see that video, I love the way that the spines look together. You can tell they're from a different era than the Black Panther, the early years, which of course has the Silver Age spine look to it. And even the design of the book underneath it looks a lot different than the designs of the books here, which we'll do an overview of that here in a couple of weeks. But first, let's go back to this. Let's look at it underneath the dust jacket. We have that image of T'Challa right there, and again, the designs all over the book. It's a beautiful design. I love it. All right, we're going to crack this open and talk about what is collected in here exactly, what makes this so different than the Ta-Nehisi Coates Omnibus, when does all this take place, and of course, look at that printing error, or what could be a printing error, in one of the stories in here. Alright, cracking the book open. So this collects the Rise of Black Panther miniseries 1 through 6. I love the designs that are all over the book. And it's very similar to the Ta-Nehisi Coates designs. It's almost like the same people designed the two books. It's the electronics and designs that are all over the Wakanda technology, including the costume, the Black Panther costume, like when he takes it off. So it collects Rise of the Black Panther 1 through 6, and here's your table of contents telling you who the creators are behind each of the stories. Collects Black Panther World of Wakanda 1 through 6, Black Panther and the Crew 1 through 6. Here's an introduction by Evan Narcisse, who is actually the writer of the Rise of Black Panther. He co-wrote that with Ta-Nehisi Coates. It also includes the Long Live the King 6-issue miniseries, the annual number 1, which I want to talk about. And I'll talk about each of these little mini-series as I go through here. I can't go too in-depth in them or give away too many spoilers. It collects the Wakanda Forever, Amazing Spider-Man, X-Men, and Avengers. It collects the Black Panther vs. Deadpool mini-series, Shuri 1 through 10, Killmonger 5-issue mini-series, Black Panther and the Lost Annihilation one-shot, which is just the Wakanda stories, the Venomverse War Stories, Marvel Comics 1000 in here, the Marvel Voices Legacy and Marvel Voices, and material from Black Panther 23 to 25, which was not included in the Ta-Nehisi Coates Omnibus because he didn't write those. But in here is also one of my favorite things that's collected is the Black Panther and Agents of Wakanda 1 through 8. Now, the first 4 issues were collected in a trade paperback, but the last few were not. So I'm glad that this is the only place that you can find them, unfortunately. But I'm glad that they finally decided to collect that, because that was a lot of fun series that was written by Jim Zub. So this kicks off with Rise of the Black Panther. And Rise of the Black Panther is the one that's co-written by Evan Narcisse and Ta-Nehisi Coates. It's drawn by Paul Renaud and Javier Pina. Now, this is a retelling of T'Challa and how he came to be Black Panther. But instead of starting it with T'Challa, it starts off with a story about Captain America meeting Black Panther. This is, of course, during World War II, with the Nazis invading Wakanda and Hydra invading Wakanda. And it's not T'Challa, it's not his father either, it's not T'Chaka, it's actually his grandfather, it's his King Azuri, who is going as Black Panther at the time, befriends Captain America and ends up giving Captain America some vibranium, and of course Captain America leaving his shield behind. So it's a story that was, what was that miniseries called? Flags of Our Fathers, I think. It's been told before. There is a little bit of retcon going through here, mainly with the story of his mother. So you do get to see his mother, his biological mother here. So the story transitions into the story of T'Chaka and how he met T'Challa's mother, who was a scientist, and she was shunned by the pretty much the palace regulars as an outsider. So she wasn't a queen. So unfortunately, like most people know, in case you didn't, yes, she ends up giving birth to T'Challa and passing away. Now here, there's something that was written into that story that maybe it wasn't just natural childbirth that killed her. Maybe it was something else. So you see the country of Wakanda reaching out to all these other places. Like you see T'Chaka reach out to Howard Stark to try to get some information, perhaps, on trying to cure his wife. So I thought that was interesting. Like I said, there's a little bit of retcon. You get to see Winter Soldier come into Wakanda long before he ever should have been there. So if you're one of these sticklers for history, I mean, it happens in comics, right? Like, retcons happen in comics left and right. Some of them work, some of them don't. This is kind of a mixed bag, honestly. I thought, for somebody that has read Black Panther for a long time, there's stories in here that are still the same thing. And then for newcomers, they're not going to really know the difference, but I guess it was time to modernize the history. You can't have a character from the 60s telling the same story. Oh yeah, I was in my youth in the 50s. It just doesn't make any sense. So you had to modernize it. So there's a lot of things in here that are included you may be familiar with, like Namor attacking Wakanda, the Doom War, all that stuff just being told in a chronological order. And of course it ends with, the beginning, which is T'Challa becoming the Black Panther, because there for a while his uncle was the Black Panther. Now, this extras are sometimes collected like this on the opposite side of the standard edition covers. This is the World of Wakanda. This is the one that I was talking about that I think may have had a misprint in here. I can't imagine it being purposely laid out like this. So there's a series of 3 different stories going on through here. Now, we met the characters of Aneka and Ayo in the pages of Ta-Nehisi Coates' run of Black Panther. These are 2 characters that he did not create. Aneka was created during the, was it the Mulberry run on Black Panther? I think she was, so that must have meant that it was Mulberry, Jonathan Mulberry and Will Conrad created her character. And Ayo was created by Al Ewing and Kenneth Rocafort during their Ultimates run. But in the run of Black Panther, you get to see these characters that were part of the Dora Milaje and kind of left that world behind because they felt betrayed by their king. But in this miniseries, you get to see how they joined the Dora Milaje and then how they started a relationship. And honestly, for a book called World of Wakanda, I guess I wasn't expecting this. I was expecting more of fighting and more of the world expanding, and I think that's what they were trying to do. They were trying to tell stories about all these side characters, which is cool, but there were 4 issues here that were just devoted to them. Now, this is what I was talking about. This is the ending of the first issue, and then we jump into this issue right here, or this little mini story and I don't know if it was supposed to be a mini story or what, but this is Zenzi. She was a character again. She was the villain in Ta-Nehisi Coates' run on Black Panther. And we get 2 pages of that, which doesn't say to be continued or anything. Then we go to issue number 3 from issue number 1, and we get more of Zenzi's stories in here, but it's only about 6 or 8 pages, and then it says the beginning. So then we jump back to issue number 2. So I don't know if that was done on purpose or not, because issue number 2 does continue from issue number 1. It's the Atlantis coming to attack Wakanda. It's how the Dora Milaje is dealing with all this water coming into the country. And towards the end of this issue, we also get one more page of Zenzi, which, the story wasn't that great to begin with, but breaking apart the story with all these pages just doesn't make any sense. So I think that is a misprint, because we go from the ending of issue 2, there is no cover to issue 3, we get 1 page of that, and we jump right back to issue number 3 without a cover. So there are no missing pages from this. I just thought when I was reading this, I was so confused. I was like, why would they break apart the story by throwing in little flashbacks of Zenzi? And I feel like there's some pages left out of that. And then maybe I was thinking, well, maybe I'm just dumb. And then, yeah, I was looking at it. I'm like, no, something is wrong here. So it's just in this particular miniseries. Issues 5 and 6 are completely fine. Actually, after issue number 2, where you get that interruption by Zenzi, all the other issues are left intact. The covers are all there. So I did double check with the other copy. That's why I had to open it. And it is printed the exact same way. So at this point, I want to say that it is a misprint, that those pages are not supposed to be there. They were supposed to be left out and maybe put all the way at the end of this miniseries. I think. I can't imagine, like I said, those stories going in between the pages of Ayo and Aneke. So the other story that's in here is the White Tiger. This, of course, is Kevin. What is his name? Kevin Cole, I believe. And he was a character that was created by Christopher Priest during his run. I think it was like issue 50 of Christopher Priest's run. And of course, he goes by the name White Tiger. So this is Kevin Casper Cole. And T'Challa's reaching out to him to do one more mission. And it's up against Cardiac. And it's also the Vanishers in here. So if you're a fan of X-Men, it's a pretty cool story. Then we jump into the miniseries that I think was supposed to be an ongoing series. And that is the Black Panther and the Crew, which is sort of a follow-up to a previous series that happened in the early aughts, long before Ta-Nehisi Coates wrote Black Panther. So this is just a reunion of characters like Misty Knight, Luke Cage, Storm, Manifold, and Black Panther. And they're all investigating the death, or the mysterious death, rather, of a civil rights activist. And he died during police custody. So they come together and look to see exactly what happens. Now, this is still a Marvel story. But there are things in here that obviously, the writers are using to do a social commentary. And it's like a take on contemporary issues that are in a comic book fashion, which we've seen before. We've seen it in Don McGregor's run. We've seen it in Christopher Priest's run. So there are characters that appear in here that first appeared in the Captain America run by Nick Spencer. What were they called? These guys right here. I think they were the Americops. But anyway, this has a lot of twists and turns that I didn't see coming. And then we move on to the Long Live the King miniseries. And this is a miniseries that focuses on the fact that Wakanda is a huge place. And there's a lot for T'Challa to do. So this is broken up into 3 different stories. There's a vibranium monster going around. There's a huge fight with the Man-Ape tribe, M'Baku tribe. And now this is the White Gorilla clan in here. The War Dogs show up. And then the last story was set up actually by a one-shot, or the Venom one-shot, which is the symbiote story of this young girl that is being possessed by a symbiote. That's the only one that really stuck out to me. But I have to talk about how awesome this annual is. So we do have annual number 1 in here. Again, not collected in the Ta-Nehisi Coates Omnibus. This one's really cool because this has some of my favorite Black Panther writers. You have Christopher Priest, Don McGregor, and you also get Reggie Hudlin. All these writers that have written Black Panther at one time or another. You also have art in here by Mike Perkins and Ken Lashley and Daniel Acuna. Now, the Christopher Priest story is about Everett Ross, which we haven't seen. We haven't seen for a while. He was a big player, and he's played by Martin Freeman in the movies. And then you have the Don McGregor story, which brings back Monica Lynn. If you read his run, if you read Panther's Rage, it's really cool to see them bring back these characters. And then you get a little short story by Reggie Hudlin, which is called Black to the Future 2. Which I always think of Family Guy when I see that title. But this is a cool story about a possible future. And it's drawn by, I believe this is Ken Lashley, if I'm not mistaken. I think that's what the credits said. Yeah, Ken Lashley. Love his artwork. He does not do enough monthly issues. Then we get the World of Wakanda, which is pretty much the Dora Milaje teaming up with Spider-Man, with the X-Men, and it brings back a certain character in this series, and it's kind of like, yes, if you're a fan of the movies, the character that they bring back is really nothing like her movie counterpart, and I will leave it at that, but it ends with the Avengers story. Then we have the ridiculous Black Panther versus Deadpool, and it's not like the first time they've met. They've met before. They met during... Actually, there was a crossover with Christopher Priest's run when he was writing both Deadpool and Black Panther at the time. And the story just revolves around Wade Wilson, Deadpool, trying to save a mailman who accidentally got wounded during a battle between Deadpool and the Wrecker. And the doctor tells Wilson that the only possible cure, of course, is he's going to need some vibranium. So that's what takes Deadpool on this journey to Wakanda. And then, of course, T'Challa is not happy about having Deadpool there. All these little miniseries are overseen by Ta-Nehisi Coates for the most part. Some more than others. By the time you get to the back here, like the Shuri series or the Killmonger series, the writers are kind of doing their own thing. And Shuri, that's the series that's written by Nnedi Okorafor. And that's one of the few series in here that I have read. Because there were a lot of series in here I hadn't read before, because it was just one of those times when there was just so much Black Panther. Despite of how people feel about Ta-Nehisi Coates, whether they love his run, whether they hate it, whether they think it's in the middle, it's kind of like what Bendis did for Avengers. He made that title so popular that all these little miniseries and ongoing series spun out of it. And that's what Ta-Nehisi Coates did for Black Panther. So I thought that was, first of all, really cool for a character like him, because we hadn't had a Black Panther series. It'd been a long time before we had a long-running series like Reggie Hudlin, I think, was the last huge run we had before Ta-Nehisi Coates came in. And it was just nice to see it, but there was just so much that I missed out on a lot of little miniseries that were going on at the time. And also, me not being a huge fan of retcons, after Secret Wars, I wasn't really digging what they were doing with the characters, because they were trying to make them more like their movie counterparts, and I get it. But this is the story of Shuri. The first one is about how T'Challa goes missing, and she has to go and find her brother. And then we move over to Killmonger. And I think this is the one series that I remember reading when it came out in digital format, because I wanted to see what they were doing with the character. Because it was a character, it's not like this is a spoiler or anything, but sometimes these characters die. And I hadn't seen him, and then in Secret Wars, they revived him, and it's not the first time he's been revived. But here is what my issue was, that they started doing retcons here with the character of N'Jadaka, who, of course, becomes Eric Killmonger. And they started making it more like the character in the movie. Which, I guess, if you're going to get people to come and read comics that are coming out of the movies, you might as well do that. Less and less Marvel has been doing that. I've noticed, they're kind of doing their own thing on Captain America or Black Widow with these characters. I think they've noticed that there isn't a huge influx of people coming out of the movies to buy comics, which is a shame. the idea to me behind the movies is to get people to come and read comics. But anyway, yeah, honestly, the first half of the Killmonger series was pretty solid, even though they threw Claw in there for no reason, but whatever. So again, some of the variants are collected on the opposite side of the book here. And then we have what my favorite series was that unfortunately got canceled. This is the one by Jim Zub. This is, of course, during, what was the crossover? Was it the King, not King in Black? It was I believe it was the World of Realms introduced us to these characters, this team. And it was during Thor's run that we got, Rosalind became a member of that team. So here we have Agents of Wakanda. And we have only one Agents of Atlas with the character of Gorilla Man there. But this is T'Challa handpicking his own team to go out there and represent Wakanda. So it's pretty cool. It's like a big global team. So he gets the help of Okoye, who's now a general. And of course, you saw Gorilla Man. You see the Wasp here. You see a couple of other characters that join the team, like Agent Strongbow. This is American Eagle. That guy has been around since the 70s. I think it was a Marvel team-up story. And then you see what is this guy? Fat Cobra, I think was his name, from Iron Fist. You see Brew, my dude Brew from Jason Aaron's run on Wolverine and the X-Men. And then eventually characters like Mockingbird join, and Rosalind. And of course, Rosalind was a character from Jason Aaron's run. But before that, she appeared in the Thor, God of Thunder issues. But this was a fun series. Again, written by Jim Zub. Unfortunately, it got canceled, so only the first 5 issues, I think, were collected in a trade paperback, or was it the first 4? And it was called, what was it? Eye of the Storm, I believe. So the last 3 issues have never been collected. So I'm glad to see it here. So issue 6, 7, and 8 are the never before collected issues. And of course they feature Deadpool in Fin Fam Boom. Then we move over to King in Black crossover, which is pretty much the characters in Wakanda fighting off against Null's dragons. We get a one shot of The Last Annihilation. I'm surprised this story was never collected in a hardcover format, considering it had a big cosmic effect and it had the name Annihilation, which a lot of people still remember. The Annihilation Conquest. Then we have Marvel 1000s, Marvel Voices, all these little short stories back here. As far as extras in the back, we have some character designs. We have some script pages here. There's the character designs right there. Original pages and the breakdowns, thumbnails to finished art. Don't know why I'm going backwards. Some character sketches. That's by Alberto Albuquerque. And then the back of the book. Now, let's take a look at the binding. This one is printed at the Donnelly printer. It is sewn binding, and look at that big, beautiful eye. My gosh. But honestly, the paper quality seems about as thick as the Black Panther by Ta-Nehisi Coates, which was printed at the iMac printer. So, I think the iMac printers are doing thicker paper now, or at least as thick as the Donnelly printers. So, outside of that one little mini-series, which honestly wasn't my favorite to begin with, I didn't really notice anything else, any other misprints or anything. And like I said, I don't know if it's a misprint or not. The editors really could have put it in there like that, but I don't know why. That really breaks apart your reading. Outside of that, I didn't see any other issues with this, but that's it. You know, ups and downs with this one. Some hits, some misses, some mediocre, some stories that will stand out. But it is an interesting and unique way to look at the world of Wakanda. So I get that's why they call it that. Well, I guess it's called Wakanda, right? World of Black Panther. Because Black Panther is still the central figure, whether it's the miniseries of Killmonger, whether it's the ongoing series of Shuri. Everything centers around T'Challa, or the character of Black Panther that was started by his grandfather, or long before that. So it is really cool to put this and read this together. So it's supposed to be read right around the time that you're reading the Ta-Nehisi Coates run. I would read all this before going into the intergalactic empire of Wakanda, with the exception of Black Panther and the Agents of Wakanda. That's about the only book I would read after the Intergalactic Empire of Wakanda. It just fits better after reading that. But the art varies. You know, you have art in here from Paul Renaud, Javier Pina, to Aletha Martinez, to Afua Richardson, and Andre Lima Araujo, Tana Ford, and Butch Guice. I forgot, legendary Butch Guice has a couple of issues in here, especially in the Black Panther and the Crew. Scott Hanna was doing the inks on that. Mike Perkins, you saw Ken Lashley, Daniel Acuna in here, Ray Anthony Height, and Leonardo Romero, Paul Davidson, just to name a few of the artists that worked in this book. And like I said, much like the stories, some are better than others. I guess it depends on your taste, because it's all subjective anyway. But that, as they say, is Wakanda Forever. If you're interested in purchasing this omnibus, check out our sponsors. If you live in Europe and are interested in buying and pre-ordering Omnis, then you should definitely check out Walt's Comic Shop in Berlin, Germany. They have the cheapest pre-order prices for Marvel and DC books within the EU, flat rate shipping of €12 for all EU countries, bulletproof packaging, and all emails will be answered within 24 hours. They offer a huge selection of out-of-print books. Just head over to waltzcomicshop.com for more great deals and rare titles. And for a limited time, you can use the code nearmintcon, all one word at the checkout, to get free shipping for all EU countries with your first order of over €40. Walt's Comic Shop, your reliable source for omnis and premium collected editions in Europe. CheapGraphicNovels.com, your online home for graphic novels and collected editions up to 50% off cover price. They have excellent shipping and prompt and helpful service. Check out their bargain deals for up to 90% off cover price. And don't forget that CGN also takes pre-orders. That way you don't miss out on the hottest releases. And they are currently running a special promotion for you Minties. If you're a first-time customer, after receiving your order confirmation email, reply back to that email and let them know Near Mint Condition sent you their way. They will then apply a free shipping promotional credit to your next order in the US. Cheap Graphic Novels, your source for the hottest books with the kind of deep discount, quality shipping, and customer service that will keep you coming back for more. And that was the content, the page count, and build of this omnibus. Let me know if you're picking it up, which cover you're picking up, and if you've read any of the series in here already, what was your favorite one? And if you have never read any of this, let me know in the comments down below. If you have any questions, leave your questions down below. This is the Uncanny Omar. Thank you all so much for watching. Don't forget to smash that like button, subscribe, and ring that bell for notifications to let you know when our videos are going live. We are on Spreadshop and Patreon, amazing ways to support the channel. And if you're going to New York Comic Con, come and say hi to me. Please, say hello. Yeah, even if I'm recording, come and say hi. Anyway, everyone stay healthy and safe out there. Much love.